Hi, I'm Brandon with Dwell Mortgage.
And I'm Jeff with John L. Scott. And
this is Homes and Loans.
All right, Brandon. So a question I get asked as soon as somebody knows I'm in real estate.
Yeah.
When's the bubble gonna pop?
Yeah. The bubble.
The bubble.
Bubble question, right? So walk me through exactly what we're seeing here, Jeff. So we're in a seller's market.
Yes, so
right?
This is today's market right now. You've got multiple buyers on condos, you've got tons of buyers on your first time homes, you've got plenty of buyers for your second, third homes, and even your luxury market's oversaturated right now.
Okay, so what you're really saying is limited inventory, which translates to limited supply.
Exactly.
And the demand is strong.
Yep.
Right? Okay.
All across the board.
Right. So I think to understand a bubble, we've got to go back to the most recent bubble that we experienced, which would have been right after the housing crash, or what led up to the housing crash in year 2004, 2005, 2006 timeline. So what I know about that timeline, it was dramatically different. In fact, show us, Jeff, what 2006 looked like. In fact, I'm going to even help. And we're going to pull some of these buyers out.
Yep. Because
what happened financially is people were qualifying for mortgages that they had no business qualifying for. There were very loose lending standards at the time, and so we had what ended up being one of the greatest catastrophes that our country's been through economically.
I was gonna say, little doggy here was getting mortgages for his own
Scotty
house
dog.
right there.
Scotty
dog, yep.
Was qualifying for his own mortgage, and so poor underwriting standards, bad lending allowed for people to qualify for homes and even multiple homes in some scenarios.
And you had a ton of new construction builders.
Yeah, and that's one thing we can even talk about too, is how builders missed the boat on demand.
Yeah.
So what ended up happening is, as people were no longer able to afford those mortgage payments that they had qualified for, they started to put their homes up for foreclosure. Well, they weren't really putting them up. The bank was coming and saying, hey, you haven't paid us for 6 months, we're going to foreclose. And I don't know if you remember this, but back 2005, 2006, you could drive down some streets in some neighborhoods in America and you would just see for sale signs lining the streets. Wow. And it was because people couldn't afford their mortgage payment. They were trying to get out from under that.
Yeah.
And then add the foreclosures to that, what you have happening, or what happened, was the opposite of what we were just looking at in today's market.
Yep.
We have now an excess of supply and less buyers. So our demand has decreased and our supply has increased. Economics tells us that when that happens, the price or value of the good decreases as well.
Yep.
So that added to compounded the problem that we had, 15 years ago, 16 years ago.
Exactly.
Was now we had house values decreasing.
Yep.
So now people were underwater on their mortgages and couldn't afford their payments. So they couldn't sell the house and get out and recover from it. So circling back to today, we have the opposite challenge, which is decreased supply, increased demand, which is pushing the value and prices of homes up, which is great for everybody that owns real estate.
Exactly.
Right? I mean, I don't remember exactly what the statistic was the last time we looked at it, but I think the forecast for our market in 2021 is like 12% appreciation. I think that's very conservative. There's some pocket markets that are up above 20% in our area, and so
crazy.
Yeah, we don't have the same challenges that we had back when we had the housing crash. In fact, one of the things that I always like to understand about the market is, how long is this going to last, right?
It's a good question.
And we've touched on it before, Jeff, but we know new construction has its challenges.
It does.
Right now, right?
Permitting, lumber costs.
It's expensive, limited access to land. It's hard to do right now with COVID, and it was even harder last year, but there's still COVID guidelines in place that are making things harder to do. The other thing that we have as a challenge as well is people being able to feel comfortable moving around.
Exactly.
I think that's an element to it as to why less people are selling and moving right now than there were 2 years ago, right? I mean, everybody's kind of been working from home for the last year, right? And they feel safe in their homes. That actually brings up an interesting point, Jeff. Last year, when we couldn't go out to eat, we couldn't go on vacation, we couldn't go to baseball games, we couldn't go to concerts, we couldn't do the things that we like to waste our money on. What did we do with our money?
Saved it.
We mostly saved it. So you have buyers right now that have increased access to cash, which is driving some of this madness in the market where people are offering way over list price, or they have funds in case there's a low appraisal or
Yep.
crazy earnest monies, non-refundable.
Yep.
People have cash right now.
Exactly.
So
It's
it's certainly a unique challenge. But the other thing that plays a huge role in understanding how the market's going to look moving forward is understanding first-time home buyers.
yes, that's big.
Because they're really the ones that move the needle,
Yeah.
if you think about it.
Yeah.
Because first-time home buyers entering the marketplace do not sell a home to become a home buyer.
They're taking one off the market but not replacing.
So they're depleting the
Yes.
inventory as they come into the marketplace. So what we have to understand about supply versus demand is as long as first-time home buyers continue to enter the marketplace, there's going to continue to be a constraint on supply.
That's correct.
They're not
yeah.
selling a house. So the best way to understand first-time home buyers moving forward is to understand where they're coming from.
Yep.
And what we know about first-time home buyers is, on average, they're about 33 years old.
Okay.
So if we rewind the clock 33 years ago from today,
Yep.
we can be able to pretty accurately predict how many first-time home buyers are going to be entering the marketplace and what that effect will be on demand.
Okay.
For
so
housing.
What's the next few years look like?
So
then?
really, Jeff, the next 7 years, last time I looked at the demographics, show an increase in first-time home buyers because the birth rate's increased.
Wow. Okay.
So we can foresee or expect to see over the next 5 to 7 years more and more first-time home buyers entering the marketplace.
Okay.
So unless something dramatic happens with inventory,
Yep.
with supply, we're going to continue to see that pricing pressure,
Yep.
which is increased demand. And as long as interest rates remain low, I mean, that's really the other lever.
Yeah.
If interest rates increase, that'll change the landscape a little bit, but we're still going to have those buyers coming into the market.
So I guess talk about that a little bit.
Yeah.
Why would interest rates changing affect a buyer?
So interest rates changing makes buying houses and borrowing money more expensive.
Okay.
So it can do one of two things. It can disqualify a borrower from buying the house that they want to buy because the payment's too high now.
So they're just taken out of the market
Yeah.
completely.
Or they have to shift their expectations, right?
Mhm.
So that buyer might be here with
Yep.
interest rates at 3%. Interest rates go up to 4, they might have to shift down to here because that payment now,
Gotcha.
the payment that was here at 3% for this bigger, nicer home with a shop on it
Yep.
is now the same payment they got to pay for this home,
Okay.
mid-market or whatever.
Yep.
So yeah, as interest rates change, that changes the buying power of the buyer.
Okay.
So that can change the demand a little
Yeah.
bit. So a lot of things to think about. That's what I love about real estate. I'm sure you love it too, Jeff. It's just all the inner workings of real estate that make it what it is.
It's not just one or two
No.
factors. There's a lot of
No.
moving variables.
And it's exciting, and it takes
It is.
a good understanding of it, putting it all together, which is why I love the game of Monopoly, because it puts everything together on one board for you to help you understand. So
It does.
cool.
So are we hoping that supply is going to get eased by some more new construction coming in, or
We're hoping.
Yeah.
But
But we can't rely on new construction alone.
yeah, we can't. And really, I mean, the more new construction that comes onto the market, the more buyers might come onto the market too to buy it. Like it might mitigate itself. So
Yeah.
you never know. I mean, that's all of that is evidence that we're not in a bubble, right? We're not going to expect this explosion or implosion of the housing market and values to plummet and houses to become more affordable all of a sudden overnight because
Yeah.
there's too much demand and not enough supply. That's the basic principles behind it.
Okay.
Yeah.
From the agent's standpoint, we are, for those of you out there that have probably written your 5th, 6th, 10th offer.
25th.
Yeah, hopefully not.
In some cases.
Yeah. We are starting to see prices level out though.
That's good.
Yeah, the
That's
bidding
good.
wars have driven house prices up, and I think we're starting to see a little bit
Good.
of some buyer fatigue in areas. Other areas are still very
Yeah,
hot. It's
yeah.
almost on a neighborhood by neighborhood basis
Right.
now. So this neighborhood may still have, 6 buyers
I know we
for
gotta
it.
get these
Yeah,
buyers
right.
back out in force.
for one house, whereas there might be another neighborhood. There's only 1 or 2 or 3 people competing now instead of 10 or 20.
Which is good.
Yeah.
Which is good. So we're moving more towards a healthy market in that scenario, right?
In there.
Yeah.
Yes, but still we're well under 1 month worth.
Here's your
worth of
fatigued
furniture.
buyers, right? They're just
Yeah.
over here in free parking.
They're hanging
This
out.
guy might even be in jail by now. Who knows?
Who knows? He got so frustrated.
He made bad decisions.
Yep, exactly. But
I'm Brandon with Dwell Mortgage.
I'm Jeff with John L. Scott, and we'll
We'll see you next time.